Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 19th of September. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the broad themes to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. Now, this week could be described a bit like a sports match, a game of two halves, or a week of two halves. The first half of this week has a very strong resemblance to the energies which played out last week. That angle between the Sun and Pluto, very much a transformative aspect, that reaches a peak on Monday and lasts through to midweek. Venus and Mars are still in a right angle, and that lasts through to midweek. And that's bringing a greater sense of tension, but also potential excitement into the romantic realm. And also because Uranus is angling with Venus this week too, there is an opportunity to liven things up a little bit around all sorts of relationships by being a bit more spontaneous and not just going through the same routines and patterns that we can all tend to settle down into. Now also, those two retreating planets of Mercury and Jupiter are in opposition through to the middle of this week, which can see some bubbly conversations. It can also see some intense disagreements. You know, Jupiter is the planet that governs the sign of Sagittarius, which is very much about knowledge, but in the sign of Aries it can be more direct. Now the more moderate energies of Mercury in Libra is asking us all to find a balance, but of course the retrograde can see some cross wires. But later in this week we have one of the biggest events of the whole year. On Friday we have the Cardinal Quadrant 3 as the Sun moves into the sign of Venus, and we have the autumnal equinox. This provides a backdrop for the next 13 weeks, but particularly for the following 4 weeks, relationships are going to be a big part of everyone's thinking. And on this particular event, the Sun and Mercury are absolutely conjunct, or cazimi. So I think important to really take the whole concept of relating seriously. And that doesn't, of course, mean just saying what we want or how we feel. It means being able to listen to other people, but crucially comprehend where they're coming from if they tend to have a different approach to ourselves. And then on Sunday, we have a new moon in the sign of Libra, which just brings even greater dynamism into our need to relate well. But this one's in an opposition with Jupiter. Interesting, Jupiter's still in that retrograde, and I think that this means that there can, if we're open to it, be some really positive exchanges. We see lots of people giving their opinions these days, but it's very important to also have conversations and discussions. And I think as this week goes on, despite any tensions that may be there, and of course Saturn and Uranus are still inching closer to their exact square, which within 1 minute occurs between the 2nd and 12th of October, a repeat of an energy that was so prevalent in 2021 and at the start of this year. There is a lot of tension around. So if we can find a way to embrace this Libran energy of trying to find points of agreement, or to celebrate the things that we share rather than highlighting all the time the things that are different between us, I think it does provide an enormous opportunity over the next few weeks. So Aries, your week commencing the 19th of September forecast just throws in a change at the start of the week from that energy that flows on from week commencing the 12th, in that Uranus is angling so positively with Venus. And it does actually forge a semi-sextile also with your ruler Mars. So what can you gain from this? Well, I think it's to be as flexible as possible to your approach to resources. With the Sun in such a fine angle to Pluto, if you really want to make a push for a new job, or to raise your profile, or to gain greater recognition, the way to go forwards may not just be through those conventional ways of doing things. And strangely, hard work and perspiration alone may not be enough. So a little bit of entrepreneurial spirit or innovation could really spark some kind of breakthrough that can delight you. And of course, Jupiter in your sign is still very influential on this week in its opposition with Mercury, but also then coming into contention on that amazing new moon at the end of the week in your sector of relating. And with the cardinal quadrant 3, the autumnal equinox, also emphasizing the way that you can reach out to people and find ways to collaborate. It's not just about what you want to achieve that's going to be important. It is going to be your relationships. So how you're interacting with others is really the key to this week's prospects. And it does hold some rich potential. But of course, with Saturn and Uranus still in that tense square, it may be that when it comes to your longer term plans, you're not quite seeing the financial returns you would like. But there are ways to push back and find new opportunities if you can think outside the box.